Hey friends, Todd Chipman here, Dean of Graduate Studies, Associate Professor of Biblical Studies at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, teaching pastor at the Masters Community Church. Doing a book chat today, thinking about Jim Hamilton's new book, In the Beginning Was the Word, out here July 2025. Hamilton, biblical theology professor at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, great teacher, communicator, written several books, biblical theology, typology, he is most known for in his recent work. And he often argues that in the Old and New Testament, the idea of a chiasm is used by biblical authors to communicate their ideas. So we have in a chiasm at least three elements, A, B, and A prime. So three independent ideas that are related, and that relationship is a parallelism with a center to it. And with that grid, Hamilton approaches the Gospel of John, large corpus, and he identifies this large chiastic structure in John's Gospel and notes that at the center we have John 11:45 through 12:19. And as we think about book chats, I often think about the argument of a book, its benefits and any concerns I have, the ABCs of it. The argument is that by identifying the value of a chiastic structure, we can better understand biblical texts and the Gospel of John. And Hamilton assumes this, and so he approaches the Gospel of John with it and finds many examples of chiastic structure there in John's Gospel, but especially at the macro level. And from that macro approach, we can get John's message. And I think here there are real benefits to what Hamilton writes in the broader structure. I have argued to my students and in writing on John's Gospel that the end of John 11 and beginning of chapter 12 are so important for understanding the whole of the Gospel and the New Testament. I think perhaps the end of John 11, when the Sanhedrin is called together after the resurrection of Lazarus, is one of the most important windows for understanding biblical backgrounds and how the Pharisees and Sadducees and the Sanhedrin together thought about Jesus and what they valued in terms of their relationship with Rome. So much that's important there, and Hamilton's book helps us to appreciate that. There are many examples of chiastic structure that Hamilton identifies here. I'm not so sure I see all of those, but at the macro level, I certainly do, and can better appreciate any part of John's Gospel by this book. I'd encourage you to grab hold of it and enjoy. For more information on biblical studies courses, go to mbts.edu, or to see more book chats, go to biblicalstudiestoday.com. See you next time.